people across the city are worried that summer 2018 is going to turn into another summer of the gun. The gun violence has hit children in a playground to upscale Yorkville. It has people upset and wanting action, and today they got just that. Toronto's police chief announcing 200 more officers will be added to the night shift during the hours that most often have the bullets flying. The president of the Toronto Police Union says while he's encouraged the mayor and chief have admitted there's a resource problem, this doesn't fix anything.
When we talk about additional officers, it has a connotation that we have 200 officers that maybe we're sitting around and not doing effective policing who are now going to be deployed in this area. But what we're looking at is officers being forced to do mandatory overtime.
He says the city has lost over 400 officers in the last 18 months, and 350 to 400 are needed just for their current workload. Chief Saunders says this new plan isn't about turning communities upside down, but about targeting the known players.
Working with the community through whether it's leads, whether it's through informants, whether it's through agents, whether it's through Crime Stoppers. These are the things that will help lead us to successfully reducing the gunplay across the city.
Mayor Tory says they are also looking at long-term solutions to reduce gun violence, which includes a significant expansion of youth programs, which he is acting on right away.
These new investments from the city and the federal government will total up to $15 million. And this includes upwards of $3 million for the increased police deployment to be implemented by Chief Saunders.
So should the average person in the city feel safe?
I think that the average person in the city should feel safe. However, I don't think with the gunplay and what's going on right now that this city is as safe as it could be.
The extra 200 officers will be assigned across the city starting a week this Friday. Those extra 200 officers will mainly come from overtime, and this is not permanent. What is permanent, however, is the hiring of 200 police officers. We've known about that for some time, and Mayor Tory supports speeding up that process. And we've heard a lot from the mayor and other officials that the city is still a safe place. Well, just how safe is it, and how does it compare to other cities? More on that coming up. Violence and murders hitting Toronto's streets getting a lot of attention, but just how big of a problem is it? Well, when you compare what happened in the city last year to other cities, the numbers tell quite the story. There were 395 shootings for all of last year in Toronto. So far in 2018, there have been 212. That compares with 188 this time last year, where there has been a big jump. 26 people have died so far this year from gunshots. That number, 17 last year. And Toronto and Chicago might be the same size when it comes to population, but in terms of shootings, the numbers very different. We've had 212 total shootings. That number in the Windy City, more than 1,400. 26 people have died from gunshots in Toronto this year. So far in Chicago, 252. And while Toronto is Canada's largest city, it doesn't have the highest murder rate. The cities in Canada with the highest murder rates, Thunder Bay, Edmonton, and Regina. Now, Toronto police as well as Mayor Tory are hoping the addition of 200 officers starting Friday to help fight gun violence will help reduce the number of shootings in the city.